Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Backcast. I think that's the name we're going to go with for now.
It sounds good.
I like it.
It's good enough.
Yeah. So, it's Dan and Joe, as always. I'm Dan.
And I am Joe.
And we are just going to kind of shoot the breeze and talk about whatever's going on for us. I mean, we don't really have any plans to cover anything newsworthy.
I haven't heard anything new.
I mean, it's just. I think this is us just kind of bantering about the video games.
Definitely, and how enjoyable they are.
Oh yeah, that's the thing is okay. Off the top, I will say this: I have worked hard on my perspective, like being less cynical just in general. But this project is like, no, I'm not going to survive this unless I start. Like I'm excited to play all games and see what they have to offer. Otherwise, we're gonna hit a real dark stretch.
No, there's definitely some stuff out there that's probably gonna be a test of our fortitude.
Yes,
for sure.
So I'm trying to build up my optimist muscles right now, and just kind of we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But before we get into like kind of what we've been playing, do we want to talk about kind of the state of the channel?
We did cover some of it in the PSA, but after we had some file corruption, which kind of set us back a little bit as we are trying to get Space Marine kind of up and running, which we do have episode 1 out now, which is good, and that's pretty delightful.
Yes. So, still loving that. We're probably going to, after this, record a few more Space Marine episodes.
Definitely.
And then, we've got the room in the can, and then we're going to start working on what I got next. And that's all kind of going on right now.
Good. Yeah.
But we're trying to get up ahead of time enough where we can actually hit that 5 day a week that we said we want. We want
to try it out.
Well, we want to do it.
Maybe. We do want to do it. We want to try it out and see how it goes.
If it doesn't work, we're not going to do it. It doesn't work. But I'm saying, but like it's not like we collectively would like to do it.
Definitely. But production times and everything on that definitely ups what is going to happen on the back end.
Right. We're not professionals. We didn't we've heard about this stuff, but it doesn't really. We never really paid attention.
It's all a learning process as we hit each hurdle and figure out how to kind of move past it.
Right. It didn't affect us, so we didn't pay. Like, we're like, yeah, of course that makes sense. Like, oh no, I get it. I get it now. I now understand.
Yeah, and I want to put out a good product.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
I want to make sure our videos are solid and entertaining.
Yes. Yeah. We want something that we would want to watch.
So and we've gotten some good feedback from various people watching and trying to incorporate as much of that as we can. Where it makes sense.
Yeah, we appreciate it. It's great. Even if stuff we're like, not so much, but that gives me something I didn't think about before. As we move forward on that, we're going to keep the feedback coming. So with that said, what you've been playing, Joe?
I have been playing far too much Diablo 3.
Yes, the season kicked off.
New season kicked off, and I have just been consumed by the new season. And if you're not familiar with it, basically you just are racing against everybody else to see who can get the farthest. And
you're racing against everybody else.
Well, I'm not really going that hard, but I've already gotten farther than I ever have in any previous season.
Yeah.
So, and that's mostly due to just the rebalancing that they did in Diablo 3. Everything's super powerful, and it's real satisfying to get in there and just tear through.
Yeah,
and loot raining like candy, which is great. And
so just to throw that out there though, so you're not saying that someone said, "Hey, I got to this rift," and you didn't immediately sit down and be like, "Well, I can beat that."
Well, I hadn't actually made an honest push at that point.
Okay,
so
fair enough. But
I felt it was misrepresentative of my my current status.
Okay, and
now I'm actually closer to like probably what my max current like greater rift difficulty is.
Okay.
Hoping to push a few more levels higher.
Okay.
I'm at an 87 right now. I think I might be able to do a 90, but it's going to take jumping in there and trying to push for it again.
Yeah, and I cleared an 80 this morning, but I'm still I'm slightly behind, and lower Paragon levels. Not that really has a huge difference. Still kind of.
It does. It definitely contributes your like base stats until you hit like Paragon 800. You're kind of not all there yet,
which I have not hit Paragon 800, so I'm not all there yet.
Granted, I've never hit Paragon 800 in a season.
I could have swore we have
No,
both of us previously in a season.
We always shoot for it. We get into like the 700s, but that's like as soon as it starts to lag way out.
Have you hit 700 or 800 this season?
No, not yet. I'm like 730 something.
I know you're pretty close because I'm
pretty close. As I don't know, maybe the scaling on that just ramps way up, so it's really slow to get from 7 to 800.
Except for previously we weren't in the place where we were clearing 80 rifts,
so it's going to be faster than it was before, and it's way better when we can get like multiple people together and run, just because that
has been great.
XP boost is huge. Yeah, we've actually been able to get 4-man groups a lot of times,
and that is a ton of fun.
It is. It absolutely is. And getting people caught up to where we can all run together and actually like push as a group, that'll be a new experience as well. We've never done that. We've always talked about it, but we've never been able to like get a group together that wants to keep pushing for harder, greater rift stuff.
And it has been weird seeing like the clan. You'll see one or two guys when a season starts kind of dinking around for maybe a week and then gone. This season, it has been there's been 5 or 6 dudes on at all times. Small friends and family.
Yeah,
clan.
Small friends and family.
People going on, people blowing up a clan chat saying, "Hey, who wants to run something? I'll help gear. I just want to play. This is great."
It is cool stuff.
It is cool stuff.
It's cool to see.
Seeing how the game's been revitalized by
which is real weird for a game that is this old and hasn't had any major content updates for a while.
Yeah, but I think it's that thing that devs said, oh, people really enjoy pushing hard, getting to the higher difficulty stuff or the higher content. We don't even have to make the game easier necessarily. We just rebalance things to a certain point and let people do the grind, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And the grind is like, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
It works on a number of levels. It kind of fills my lack of loot that I get in World of Warcraft with a more meaningful kind of upgrades and things like that, where you don't get the same the
dopamine hit.
Yeah, the dope hit. That's what I'm looking for. You don't get the same hit out of it for sure.
Yeah.
Because like in World of Warcraft, like you get loot, it's kind of just inconsequential though most of the time. You don't feel the difference like you do in Diablo, especially when you're pushing the really hard content. One good piece can like change the way that you play and the way that you run.
Well, I mean, for example, my Crusader got the belt that had the affix that it needed, but none of the stats were particularly great, and that immediately was like, oh, I am way more survivable. That's proccing all these different things that my class does kind of for free. I don't have to worry about that. Oh, great. Now I can clear, I think that gave me like 10, 15 rifts just from that piece.
Yeah.
I mean, lower level rifts, but it just
immediately feel that. And it feels great.
It is.
They've done a really good job at like getting that to a very tight, even though they're raining loot on you, like it's still...
You're still sharding most of it.
Yeah, you're getting rid of most of it, but that's all for the like eventual like future augmentation of said gear as well. You end up having to burn all of it to push to that next level after you've kind of got a decent set of whatever your set gear is, and like you're just kind of fishing for. Looks like our B-roll has just bugged out on us.
Glitched a little bit there. Yeah.
That freaked me out for a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, guys. Dead Cells in the background.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second.
We'll talk about that in a moment, because it is a fantastic game, as I'm sure you can see. But yeah, Diablo is still like got its hooks in me, and it's been nice because like we're hitting a point in Destiny as well where that's all slowing down, and we've got most of the gear we need. We're like
optimizing
very close to max gear level, and there's not a ton left to farm in that game, which is sad, and I wish it was a lot more like Diablo.
Yeah.
In that.
If it was just straight Diablo within that setting, it would be amazing.
Yeah, and there would be a longer tail on that, especially because the loot in that game doesn't feel very meaningful either.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking about it a lot about how I feel about Destiny, and I guess we're switching to Destiny here a little bit.
Might as well. It's the other thing that we're playing. We're still doing the raid.
Kind of optimizing our times, getting that down. But the way I think about it, I don't know if I would recommend Destiny to anybody. I love playing it and I enjoy it, but the shooting is great. But if that's all you're looking for, it's like, hey, Call of Duties, there's 10 years of those where if you're just looking for the shooting mechanics being good, I've got to those are
like tried and true at this
tried
point.
and true. Go back and play Modern Warfare 1. That's amazing, and the gunplay is like just on another level. And I need to go back and play that remastered to see how it compares, because I bet it would give Destiny a run for its money.
Interesting.
I really do. I mean, don't have the superpowers.
I never got into any of the Call of Duty, really. Like, it just never did it for me.
Well, guess what? We've got about 10 years of those to go through. And
I mean, I think I played, what did I play? Modern Warfare 2, maybe?
Okay.
I think that I played that one. And I think I just played the campaign. I did play a little bit of the multiplayer.
Right.
Didn't really get it for me. One thing about Destiny that I have found more enjoyable in 2 is Crucible stuff. I'm not a huge PvP guy. I just don't really do it. But I have found times where you kind of have to PvP a little bit to get all of your loot rewards in Destiny.
I mean, not kind of. You have to if you want the loot.
Yeah, to get the Luminous Engram, the more powerful gear that's like scaled up, which is a beef that I do have with that game, is the Luminous Engram system.
Well, and
it has encouraged me to PvP a lot more, and it's kind of forced me to look at that and kind of pay attention to
save guns that are meta for PvP.
Sort of, yeah, or just like, and I'm actually using my raid guns in PvP every time. Like, it doesn't.
Well,
matter.
those raid guns are great.
Raid guns are solid. They're definitely not meta.
No,
but I have found that I've been far more effective in PvP. Just because I'm thinking about it a little bit more. They do force you to do 5 or 6 games to get that
right. And I wish there would be a number,
loot,
because they give you that percentage thing that seems to always, it doesn't matter what you do, it's 5 games.
Random. Yeah, it's at least 5, sometimes 6.
Right.
So it's weird, and a lot of Destiny is not very transparent, and it never has been.
Right.
But the PvP actually has been a little bit more entertaining than I had hoped. I'm not doing anything competitive, not getting anything too crazy in there.
Trials of the Nine.
No. Just your standard, just quick play, just pick up games with whatever. And I find that I'm actually getting better at that. So maybe I do need to kind of reevaluate my stance on Call of Duty and maybe check out some of their multiplayer.
Yeah, I mean, that's a thing you could do. I mean,
that is a thing one could do.
That is a thing you can do. I mean,
yeah,
we're going to go back and we're going to be playing Call of Duty campaign stuff for certain. I mean, we'll see where we might do multiplayer. Heck, we might end up doing some Space Marine multiplayer. Probably not, but
ooh, man, do we need to?
Well, no, we don't need to. But they have this co-op mission mode that was always kind of cool.
All right,
was kind of cool, and you could pick your loadout. So but
it's not PvP though.
There is PvP.
Oh, there is PvP.
Chaos Space Marines versus regular Space Marines.
All right,
but it's I don't know.
That game doesn't seem like it was designed for PvP.
It's interesting. It definitely feels like they grafted things onto that weren't made for that. Like the anti-tank, the premier anti-tank weapon, the las cannon, is a sniper rifle.
That's cool.
But that's also, I mean, it works, but whatever. But we're not talking about that. Anyway, we were talking about Destiny.
It's true.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Is like, I think Destiny is an all right game. If you know, like, if you're into the loot games and like, if you know what you're getting into, if you like Destiny.
I mean, at this point, it's the only loot shooter of that ilk.
Borderlands. I know you.
I don't think that's apples to apples.
Right, but I mean, it's not the same for Diablo. Diablo's like what Diablo has a bunch of exact 1-to-1 clones, but it's still a loot game.
I mean, I'm specifically talking just like loot shooter. And yes, there is loot in Borderlands.
I mean,
you
kill
some
dudes
MMO trappings in it that make it look like numbers popping off of guys, things like that. I give that, but I don't think that's. I don't think it's a close enough comparison to what Destiny offers.
I don't understand where the difference is, so I disagree with you, but that's fine.
It is fine. Yeah, I don't even. They don't even feel similar. The way the loot is mostly just. There's not actual like gear, right? You're not equipping like head slot and like shoulders and arms.
There's some armor type stuff, but it's 1 or 2 slots.
Yeah.
So it's not on that same level, but the guns do everything in that game. It's all about the guns.
Yeah, it's more of a. It's also not that multiplayer oriented, I guess. I mean, you can totally go through all of Borderlands completely solo.
I mean, what loot game can't you?
Destiny.
You can't
raid solo.
Okay, but
you can't really strike solo until high end.
And Borderlands, they have end game bosses that you can't solo. They have put those in there.
Oh, interesting.
Even in the first one.
And I guess I should preface it by like my basis for any comparison is only Borderlands 1. I have not played 2. I've not played any DLC.
Yeah, okay. So the first deal, well, not the first deal. The first game at the end DLC they added, I think it was Cromarax, was the guy that they added, which was basically a raid boss.
Interesting. And you can't do that without other people?
Without glitching?
Or is it just, it's really hard?
It's extremely hard to the point of saying, it's like, yeah, it's... I
think where Destiny is just gated off things that require
it's like
people,
you need 6 people hitting
literally
your buttons
have
all
to
at
have
once.
you have to have people coordinated and doing stuff.
I get you.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a fair comparison.
But I was gonna say, but that still doesn't. That has nothing to do with the loot shooter aspect.
I mean, sure, you get loot while shooting in Borderlands. I don't know. It definitely does not feel like Diablo to me, though, at all.
Like I said, I am definitely missing where the disconnect is, because you say that those things aren't the same. This thing. I
didn't know we were going to try and like hash this out, so I haven't really thought about it that much.
Fair enough. Okay, I was trying to understand it in real time, and anyway, so we have a difference of opinion there, and that's fine.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, maybe we do, maybe we don't. I haven't really thought that much about it. I just don't think. It just doesn't seem like a fair comparison.
I think they're probably closer than you think, and we'll find out.
Maybe
at some point.
So. Yeah, and it may just be because I've only played campaign on the first Borderlands. I never did play 2 or anything else. So. Right.
I do. They do try. They encourage the co-op aspect.
I guess I did watch some of what was that the dumb space one with the oxygen mechanic.
Oh, the pre-sequel.
Yeah, that one. I watched a bit of that gameplay.
Yeah, the whole oxygen mechanic turned me straight off.
I was like, yeah, this is totally a different thing.
Like the idea of like, okay, you need air all the time. Everybody drops air. You're picking up air without. I mean, it's just always there. It's like, then why even have the mechanic?
On just a second of thinking about the Borderlands and the loot. You're getting loot, but it's also not like a progressive thing. Like you don't have to keep getting better and better guns. You're not like leveling that up.
Guns do have levels.
They do have levels?
They have levels. Yeah, absolutely.
Did they in...
You cannot equip this gun. 1? It is a level 30 gun.
Oh, you mean it based on your level.
Right, but no,
right.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean more like in the MMO sense of like the light level in Destiny, or the fact that you're getting
I'm pretty sure
loot.
You're going to get your butt handed to you if you're trying to use a level 1 gun at the end of Borderlands 1.
Well, I mean, yeah, but that's tied to your level. Like, are you leveling progressively after you hit max level in that game? That's the main difference.
Yes, I ended up grinding for a piece of gear, because some of the mods and stuff. You can still go get way better guns after, and you do kind of customize your loadout. And I did have some friends who were looking for specific guns. I think the Hellcat or something like that. There were some specific guns that people were looking for, and you wanted legendary guns or whatever their rarity system was. There are guns that are rarer than others. It's just not like they're all guns, and whatever gun you want to use is fine.
Interesting, yeah. And my feelings on that may just be because I have not played any in-game Borderlands past just what the campaign is.
Right. If you just play the campaign first time, you're just like, oh, okay, that's done.
And it was great. I love that game. I love Borderlands.
I really love the first Borderlands. It gets worse as they keep making games. It's like, oh, okay, they had a lightning struck, and they're just kind of riding that on 2. And 2 is all right. 2 had a very tonal shift that I didn't think was great, but whatever. Some people like Tiny Tina. And then just the pre-sequel, I was just like, I don't have any interest in this until you get to like full-on Border Worlds, which is what the end of 2 teased. Is like, oh, there's vaults on hundreds of worlds with treasure in all of them. And the idea being,
I guess that alone is a good point in like its difference from Destiny narrative. The fact that there is a narrative in Borderlands.
Oh, okay. I see where you're going. Yeah, yes.
Narratively speaking,
yes, and
that's very different.
I wouldn't say it's a story with nuance, but when you
it's video games.
But when you compare it to
nuance is few and far between.
When you compare it to Destiny, it's basically Shakespeare. That breaks my heart to say that.
Oh, God. Yeah. Definitely. And I really enjoyed that first Borderlands. Like, that was a cool like a lot of cool ideas, very sci-fi, very
they had two bosses.
interesting.
Two of the bosses you could kill by standing still, and that was not great. But other than that, it was
I mean, I did the same thing in like Halo, where you just like find ways to kind of hack the encounter.
the difference here being you didn't have to hack it; you just had to stand still.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
But I mean, I would do the same thing. I would just find spots where I couldn't get hit in like in Halo games and just snipe from afar, things like that.
I mean, yes,
I think that exists in a lot of
it does, and
in a lot of stuff.
Yes, but when you don't have to look for it, you're just like, oh wait, I don't actually have to move. When you realize that mid fight, and you're just like, I'm just gonna stand here, and then you don't really die on the boss.
Yeah.
That's a different experience than like, where can I hide from this guy?
True.
And snipe him. You're thinking, as opposed to having the realization that, oh, nothing's actually hitting me.
Yeah, and
I'm just going to stay here.
If I knew that when I played Borderlands, I don't know. I'm not even sure what you're referring to. So
the Rack Hive and then the last boss you could kill.
I don't know. I don't remember. It's been years since I played.
The big mammoth thing that just walks around and shoots the birds out of it.
I just don't remember. It's been so
anyway,
long.
You don't actually have to move when dealing with that thing.
Right on.
Especially if you have a turret.
Yeah.
Anyway,
easy enough.
So that we're just going to keep bouncing around wherever on this thing.
Destiny seems to be winding down
already. Well, they did announce. Okay, they did announce.
Granted, we played pretty hardcore. I mean, we went real ham and got most of our light power levels all the way up. I'm like 2 points away from 305.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's how you play those games.
It is. It definitely is. And I knew that's what it was when getting into it. And so for it to be on. I mean, I don't know that it's on its last leg. I still like to do the raid. I'd like to get that real tight and
right,
and get it done in less than 2 hours. That'd be nice.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah. And I think we could do it. We've got enough people that know that encounter now.
Well, we'll find out a little bit later today.
Yeah, it's true. We're going to
run
raiding later tonight, and that'll be an indicator of...
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
The kind of disappointing thing is, I guess, news this week is that the next raid is going to be in the same place as the first raid, and that's a huge bummer.
I have not looked at any of that, and I'm real curious, because that seems like an odd choice to not change the venue.
Especially because I think there's... I also... I didn't read the news myself. This was relayed to me. I guess there's some amount of inference that the third raid is all going to be there also.
Real weird.
Which is like,
I don't know. I need to look into that before I
would
commit too much heartache to it.
Right. See, now you guys armchair deving here, but like if I were to do that, I would almost say like a progression system of, all right, so your raid is on this spaceship. Now we're moving to the next expansion. Hey, the story stuff is happening on the spaceship. Moving so you feel like you've conquered that place to the point where it's mundane, and you're running missions there, and you're like doing patrols there because
that would be an interesting thing
because you've subjugated that place.
That would be cool.
Now you're moving on to the next. Like that is a progression. I think would be pretty cool because what it's doing is making you feel like you're powerful, and maybe doing a hey, I didn't get to raid cheesy simple version for single player for people who didn't get that, so they don't feel like they've missed content. They just have to get the next expansion to get the content from this one. Not the best solution, but a solution.
I mean, yeah, better than what they do currently.
Which is like, if you're going to take the WoW example, hey, all the actual climax to your story is going to happen in the raid. You can't do that by yourself.
Yeah, seriously.
So that's that.
Well, I mean, they do have LFR in WoW.
Yeah.
Which they don't really have in Destiny.
Right. Well, they're trying to put it in.
Well, they're trying to put some matchmaking in, but...
yeah. They're but it's going to go bad. Just the way that raid runs, I don't see that being not toxic for people.
I agree. It's it requires some real tight timing and people like doing their job.
Yep.
Like it is a singular rating experience for sure.
Which I love. I actually love the rating experience. I do. It's this back and forth of the exclusion area of like, we're going to put really cool content that requires you to be better players into this game, but if you don't have friends, you're hosed. Like I have friends who play some of the games I play. I have friends I have no friends who play some of the games I play.
Yeah.
So it's like, this would be cool with friends. Or I would like to see the stuff this game can do, but I don't have friends playing it, so shucks. It's
definitely, yeah. And that's always like a concern with a lot of these kind of games.
Right.
Especially when you're trying to create an experience that is difficult enough and rewarding enough
Right.
to keep people coming back. And Destiny, like, they do that, but they do it on like a weird patch basis. So like once you're kind of done with one patch, you just set it aside and then come back for the next patch. Granted, their next patch, as far as PC guys are concerned, is coming out immediately.
Right.
Like,
December.
what do we got? 2 weeks?
Is it 2 weeks?
2 weeks from now, we'll have a new Destiny patch.
Dang, I didn't realize it was that quick.
Yeah, so it's really just
so putting it away is a thing that actually might be better for us, because that way when that hits, we're not
possibly,
because if it's a big old grind fest, we're gonna be like, oh no, I don't have the fortitude.
That's
for
true.
this.
Yeah, that's true. And
we'll
see. We'll see. I'm really curious to I need to look into it and see what we know about that next patch.
So look forward to us talking about that next week, because we don't know anything about it right now.
We'll actually think about that and do some homework.
I'm kind of sad I broached the subject. I mean, I'm not, but at the same time, it's like, oh right, that's a thing.
Oh yeah, like it's coming. So yeah, right. I'll actually look at that. I've been too consumed with like BlizzCon just ending, and I've been looking into more of what came out at BlizzCon, because I don't watch BlizzCon. I just kind of hear about some of it via...
Right. The best part of cons is not going to them and getting info dumps all at once.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I've been just waiting for. And I've started looking into it, and stuff seems cool. Blizzard's always doing good work, and I've been really excited about what's coming out for the next expansion. Granted, that's going to be a while.
You're talking WoW.
In WoW, yeah. Sorry to change gears immediately. I'm just thinking like...
Just wait, our brains work.
Yeah. Just... what have I been doing as far as that goes? Since I'm not researching Destiny, I've been looking a little bit about stuff that's coming out from Blizzard, and it's all looking good.
As a general rule, you don't have to research Destiny.
Yeah,
it wears its gameplay on its sleeve.
Absolutely.
You're like, okay, what's max light? Okay, that's what I need to get to. That's what I need to get to, and then when's the next X pack? Which I knew was in December, but didn't realize it was that close.
Yep, December 5th. It's
also
going to be right here.
December's 2 weeks away. 1 week, or a little about between 1 and 2 weeks when you hear this. But yeah, goodness, that's going quick.
It is going quick. The year is almost over,
which means the Steam holiday sale is around the corner as well, which has become dangerous for me as well. I've picked up a number of games that we'll be covering at some point. So that's what. Anything else on Destiny, you think?
Destiny, no. I mean, we don't really have any news as far as that goes. Like, still having fun. Some people I know are already burning out on that game.
Yep.
And we'll see where that ends up with, like, in the next little while. I mean, obviously, if we can't get people together to raid anymore, we'll know that people are done.
Yep.
But we'll have to do some homework and see what is coming down the pipe for Destiny, and see if it is going to be something we can still be interested in.
Yeah.
And we'll know for sure in a couple weeks.
Color me baseline interested. I don't know. There are some of the way the systems that they have in that game I kind of bounce off them, and the shooting's good, so I just kind of get through it and deal with them. Like the whole, you've hit this level of this power level, so now all the gear is going to drop slightly below that, and you're like, why is this?
Right,
I don't understand why you would why that makes sense.
It's because, I mean, it's the beef that I have with their Luminous Engram like system,
right?
And so every week you have the chance to get these Luminous Engrams by doing,
Well, they're a chance. They're guaranteed.
They're guaranteed. My bad. I just misspoke. Getting a little ahead of myself. In my head. So once you do the daily or the weekly quests, essentially is what you're doing. These weekly things, they reward you with these Luminous Engrams, which scale higher than whatever your current average is.
Power level is.
Yeah. And typically they are your best shot at getting more powerful gear. And now that I'm approaching the kind of end of that loop, and I've got pretty high gear level, a lot of it's pretty worthless. Even though it does scale up high, it's not good enough.
I think
or I get stuff that I don't need, for slots that I don't need,
that are already 305s.
That I'm already maxed.
I have that happen. It seems like it biases towards the slots you already have 305'd.
Definitely.
I mean, that's tinfoil hat type talking, but it feels that way.
But I feel like it's also just that exists as a system in that game has cut the legs off of it, and has just been like, oh, okay, so you don't need to raid to get the most powerful gear. There's actually nothing other than cosmetics that the raid gear gets you, aside from some, like, the guns have some extra perks on them, but nothing that's really game changing or meaningful for the most part. And I kind of feel that they lost the aspects of Destiny 1 that were great with their rating, because all of that stuff had a lot of personality.
And it was
had a lot
super cool.
It was very meaningful.
And very powerful.
And very powerful. It was the way you want raids to work. You want to get the best gear out of there. And they also had like some little kind of like almost set bonusy type things where you would do more damage to enemies in that raid. And it seems like they've kind of just gutted the personality of Destiny 1. To make a more kind of homogenized shooter experience. Right.
I have raid gear, and the raid gear I got, I'm like, well, this is all useless, and fed it to my normal gear. And to the point, kind of what you're saying is like, what you want as a loot shooter is to be more powerful than the world. You want to feel like as you're getting that new gear, like for example with Diablo 3, just stepping back to that, we're now so powerful on the max difficulty that you can play outside of Greater Rifts are a complete joke.
Oh yeah,
you're just walking over dudes, and like the way my character works, he's so strong now that like high level dudes will run up, hit them, and the damage they take back one shots them, and I don't have to click anything, and I can just run through areas, which is fantastic. Destiny never gets that because they've capped it in a way that is saying, no, we never want you more powerful than the game. We'll have some like everything kind of scales up to you.
Yeah.
So you never get that progression feeling.
I mean, you do feel a little bit more powerful.
A little bit.
I definitely feel more powerful now than I did early on. Now that I'm up in the 300s, things do die very quickly.
But at the same time, some things just don't.
Yeah, and granted, that's partially because I do have some of the currently like meta guns that are super powerful.
Right.
Like the Merciless Fusion Rifle is just super OP, and you can nuke everything. And most stuff you can in the open world you can kill with one shot.
Right.
But yeah, no,
but I
absolutely agree. Like you definitely never get to a point where you feel overly powerful.
Right.
And they do seem to miss the mark on a lot of that kind of design.
I think because because Bungie's used to designing shooters, and they're like, oh, well, we want you to always be challenged. And it's like, no, this is a loot shooter. The challenge is like you give me the challenging difficulty things, but there needs to be places where I can gauge how much more powerful I am. In the open world, I need to steamroll, not just kill things quickly. I need to feel that power increase, and in the raid even more so. Like if any of that does exist, it's generally just only as far as Destiny's concerned. Yes,
it only exists in the leveling aspect of that game, because as soon as you reach a certain power level, everything just scales with you, and you don't have much of a power increase past that. Yeah, and it's at least it's not jumping back here to kind of before we were even doing any of this. The Division. The problem with that game was the moment you hit max level is the moment you were weakest in that game. Right. Because everything rescaled properly. A real strange design decision. And a real bummer. The Division was a great game. It had so... weirdly, I would actually say The Division, especially where it is probably now, is probably a better, more recommendable game than Destiny. But... The loot, the way the loot worked in that game was way better, and a good third-person camera shooter. Now I'm talking myself into wanting to play the Division again. Division is good. I wish it had more more full end game. Yeah, which they kind of tried to get there, and they actually ended up making like 2 or 3 raids. Do they have a Game of the Year edition for that yet? I wonder. I'm sure you could get it. Or you're thinking they're getting a PC, aren't you? Oh, yeah. If I'm going to play it again, I'd rather just start over. Yeah, me too. I know they have a gold edition, which if it's I just want all the DLC, and I don't want to they have a gold edition for PC. I don't know if I want to give them more money or it's Ubisoft, and that comes with its own baggage. But that aside, again, trying to be positive about games, but certain publishers I'm wary of. Like I haven't bought an EA game in a while, and I don't think I will. I think the internet has taught us to not believe in EA. Well, anymore. EA has taught us not to believe in EA. Fair enough. Anyway, so I guess that's kind of our thoughts are complicated on Destiny. It's a love-hate relationship. I don't even say I hate it. It's just like it's mostly meh, and then the shooting's good, and it's good to be on a headset with a bunch of buddies and just yeah, and that's the most attractive part of Destiny is just hanging out with your like guy friends or whoever. I don't really care who you're gaming with. You may know girls that shoot. I don't. Our primary hangout group is a bunch of dudes. So. Yep. Anyway, but yeah, that's And generally that's how I game. I game for the social aspect. I game in Diablo to run with other people. I like the solo stuff is fun, and I have fun like getting more powerful. But I really do enjoy like boosting friends and
running hard stuff with
running
friends.
hard stuff with friends
and accomplishing things.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of tickles that same desire for raiding.
Yeah, raid is that all of that with difficulty. So there's the sense of accomplishment is way stronger.
And and with Diablo, I'd love to get to a point where that's how it feels. Like we are pushing like insanely hard content, and it's not just me like going through killing hard stuff. Doing it as a group and coordinating, building for it.
I'm working on it. I'm leveling my legendary gems.
Come on, Dan.
You can chill out until I get there.
No chill.
This is a zero chill zone.
Zero chill zone when it's Diablo. Zero chill. And yeah, and sadly, Destiny, like as those mechanics go, they're great. Raiding is great, and the raids are very challenging and generally speaking pretty fun. Some of the mechanics miss the mark for me, but
yeah, and it feels like they're putting 3 encounters worth of mechanics into one thing because they only have so many fights, and so they're like, okay, here's the 4 layers of mechanics that are going into this fight. It's like, put more dudes, take out 2 mechanics, and now you have 2 different fights.
Yeah, I think they're trying to maintain the parts of Destiny 1 that weren't really that great,
right?
A la like kind of stealth and or sneaking parts and
just
major platforming sections, stuff like that.
Just because the Vault of Glass was a good fight didn't mean everything in it should be the gospel of what Destiny raiding is.
Exactly.
It was fun, but not all.
They seem to be a little clueless.
Yeah.
When it comes down to that, like they people have nostalgia for this one thing that was very new and very exciting, and they've kind of just gone back to that well over and over and over at this point.
Yeah, and it's disappointing, but then again, that's kind of how it is. It's like
we knew it was Destiny when we bought Destiny.
This is true.
We were always hoping that they would kind of get back to things they had talked about before Destiny 1 came out. And
that's the problem, though, is we keep giving them money for a subpar product, so all they make is a subpar product. Yeah, because they don't have to. We don't demand more, and that's a hard thing to do. You don't want to tell people, no, don't buy that game, don't enjoy it. Look, give these guys grief, but like apparently that's the only thing that really works. I don't know. It's a difficult topic with nuance that I'm not capable of. It's Saturday morning, folks. I am not capable of nuance.
No nuance right now.
No nuance,
which is fine. But I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
That new patch is coming out. We'll see what Destiny has to offer going forward, and if it is I don't know. If it's not to our liking, obviously we don't have to keep going.
And you'll hear about it.
Yeah, and everyone will hear.
So that said, I guess we could talk briefly a little bit about Dead Cells, that game that was playing earlier.
Playing earlier before Destiny, yeah.
Yeah, that game is just it's kind of a mix between a roguelike and a Metroidvania. It's not really, Metroidvania is actually pretty, it's not that.
Now, I don't like roguelikes.
Yeah.
Sell me on Dead Cells.
Well, Dead Cells has this great mechanic that you're picking up cells, is what they call them, is the currency, and you'll pick up blueprints and things. And in between each level break, there's a guy you can spend your cells on. He gives you but anything you have unlocked, you can spend 4 unlocks, and anything you do have unlocked, you can spend cells to make it stronger.
So it's not as roguelike-y. It's not as pure.
It is run. Yeah,
you do have a little bit of progression going.
Right. It is run based, and you do have to fight every boss every time that you come across and things like that. But the cool thing is you're like, okay, I've got this sword to have a plus. I don't know how high it goes, but say plus 50 or 100% damage on it. So when you start the game, it randomly gives you a loadout. Here's a sword, here's a bow, here's a shield.
Okay, so that's kind of more roguelike.
Well, yeah. Well,
as far as that goes,
right? It is. But if you've leveled them,
you're getting a different. Oh, okay. So from previous runs and leveling up those particular weapons.
So the buffs
when you do get those weapons to start with,
they're stronger.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. That's
so so you can say you have this really sweet broadsword, and you've leveled it to be ridiculous, but nothing else. You have to wait until that broadsword drops again to you have that power again, and then you feel really powerful, but all the rest of the times you're not. So you can level things up, and you can have weapons you like, weapons you don't like, that you can kind of want to put points into everything, but you see those weapons, you're like, this is now the run. This is the one
this is the run.
This is the run. And you can get farther in.
And I mean, that sounds rad. And I love the look of that game. Like that, I know retro modern pixelated
right
stylings are kind of, I don't know, the current trend in a lot of indie game.
Right,
stuff.
but it does the thing where it's like, no,
it looks good. We
can do more with pixel art. Like The Last Night looks great with pixel art.
Oh, yes. I am looking forward to that game.
Yes, me too. But it's doing the thing where it's like, we can use pixel art, and you're used to that, but then we're going to subvert it by doing this with it, or doing shaders, or doing these things that give it a whole entirely different look, as opposed to being like, I don't know, at this point it's come across as, hey, I'm lazy, I'm going to make an 8-bit game.
Yeah, and there is a plethora of those as well, of just garbage, abject garbage that people are like, oh no, it's like retro modern pixels.
Because I can't do art, so this is my art style. And that's, yeah, I don't have to have.
It can be done very well, and I'm excited that is happening. I'm excited that there are developers out there that are reaching for a higher, higher quality in their pixel art, because I don't know. Very stylistic art is always something I really enjoy. Like if you can show something to me that is different or skewed in a different way that I've never seen before,
yes,
way into it.
Yeah.
And Dead Cells, man, it
and it's an early access game, but they are still scaling and tweaking it. Like the footage I captured before was because it got updated, and I'm like, well, let's see what's going on with that. And it's that thing where the Dead Cells, since it's a run-based game. I was like, I'll log on, I'll do a run, we'll call it good. And then 6 or 8 runs later, I'm like, I might need to stop now. And I felt that happening when I was capturing footage today. On that, it was kind of pulling me back in. I was like, okay, this is a good game and I enjoy it. And I'm not a roguelike person. I do not. Like, I like progression. I like having one character that gets stronger and stronger and stronger, but the gameplay is so fun. I was gonna say mouthfeel, but the hand feel, the hand feel is real good,
real smooth.
The moment to moment on Dead Cells is, the controls are intuitive.
Tight. Yeah, it looks real tight as well. The way it plays is really, really awesome looking. I need to pick it up myself.
Well,
and give
it's
it
early access, so don't worry about it. But
that's true. Maybe I'll just wait until it's actually released.
Right, we're gonna keep
in its final
form.
Final form.
Right. So we'll just keep looking at that.
Maybe we'll have to do a little feature on that.
We don't know how to do like early access games. I'm not touch.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to mess with early access,
but also like
roguelikes alone are going to pose an interesting
dilemma on how do
you play through a roguelike and make it interesting and not just a hey, watch us fail at this level over and over.
Right,
and over
right.
again.
But I mean that's the intent of a roguelike is you fail over and over. But like the skill cap on roguelike games would require us to do like what I keep saying, like the thing I've said that is neat about the way we're playing these games is we'll learn from a limited time the skill set we need to beat a game, move on. Roguelikes very much demand that you get very good at them and then beat them, and then you can move on. It's not like a campaign and then here's the end game where you get real, real good. It's
get good and then you're done.
Yeah, get good and, well, maybe keep running it because you find it fun, or you're like, I can do this better, or I've unlocked this character that, subverts how these mechanics work.
And generally speaking, that's why I don't like roguelikes.
Same here.
Because there is that, like, it's just like, I've done this, and a lot of them aren't fun enough.
Right. A lot of them are too punishing to be fun.
Yes. And I understand that there is a market for that. And some of these roguelikes, they look amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that I do enjoy them when I do get into them. Galaxy being a very prominent example.
I will say that one, the controls are not what you would think they are.
Not quite tight enough to keep me going back to it. But I really love the art style, the way it was designed.
Well, I mean, that was for me, that's the nostalgia trip. They are parroting in a lot of ways the Robotech TV show.
Right.
And that for me was just like, there's even a character that's like, oh, that's straight up Captain Global for the American version. That's just Global right there. That like this main dude is Rick Hunter. Like they've given him a slightly different hairstyle, but that's who this is. And like, so it's like, oh, I wanted to love this game. And straight up, actually, so spoilers, later on, the jet transforms into a mech.
Oh, I mean, that happens very quickly in that game.
It's like season 2 or whatever it is, But anyway, yes. But that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, they're straight parroting Robotech, which I would love a good Robotech game. They tried to do it a couple of times, but here's the thing: is the time was wrong, so the controls were garbage, and it. Anyway, I need to. I need to.
So Dead Cells. Obviously, great looking game, and you are fond of it, and
feels good.
We'll give it a look when it's actually out officially.
Because that one's not doesn't pose a problem because I know I can spend time leveling all the gear to the point where I'm like I'm fairly comfortable with. Well, I think so because actually part of this patch,
we can do it always as like a type of a palette cleanser type thing, and that way we could go back and we could look at. We could do multiple
re-cleansing,
re-cleanse.
And a fun thing with this, playing this game while it's in early access is this last patch they just put out. They said, "Oh, hey, so this guy was the final boss before. He's not. He's a mid boss. We've put a new. There's everything past it, and there's a new end boss. Also, that's not the end boss. This is just where we're at. So, like, they're expanding out what makes the game feel finished. You know." So anyway,
I'm glad they're still working on it. It looks great, and I hope that it just keeps getting better.
Absolutely. Here's the thing: is I want all games to be better because then that's more fun for everyone. You know?
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, and who's the kind of bitter person that doesn't want a game to be good?
I just want to play terrible games.
No, I want everyone else to have terrible games so they know I'm right when I say that game. I can't get in the headspace.
That's a weird way to look at that.
Have you not been on the internet? There's
no,
people that
I avoid that as much as possible.
Fair enough.
The internet is poison.
Yes, it is. I mean, but it's the poison we breathe now. So
yeah, I just avoid, especially in video game context. Like most people don't know what they're talking about, or they just are very absolutist about things, and it's just not engaging.
Right.
Nobody wants to have a conversation. They just want to be outraged. So.
Yeah, I remember the first time I realized it was for Mass Effect 3 before I had played it. I saw somebody made a forum post like, oh, early indications of this, and this. And it was very clear this person was just gloating over that Mass Effect 3 didn't look like it was going to be any good. And it's like, why would you want that? Why would you want a game to be bad? It's not like having one game existing means another game doesn't exist. There's no like, sorry,
FOMO for the good games.
Yeah. We're at capacity now. That we can't have any more video games until something goes away. Like that's it.
It's something has to fail miserably for us to.
Right. You know that there are only 50 video games allowed in this space at any time.
Yeah, there's so many garbage games out there anyway.
Right.
That are like very poorly done and just kind of what do they call it? Shovelware.
Shovelware is just like a new console's launching. Let's get everything out on it. Yeah.
So I mean, and we've had even from like. For like the Switch, we're seeing an interesting, weird set of games.
A lot of porting, not exactly shovelware,
but I mean, you've got stuff like what are the ones that everyone's like, oh, it's such a waste of like ARMS. A lot of people were really dissatisfied with,
right? But
things like that. Like, I mean,
yeah, I guess
it's so I don't really need the internet to tell me that. Yeah, games are bad. I mean, if a bad game is bad, it's pretty objective,
right?
And you can tell. Granted, I will play bad games because I love the content. The subject matter may be to my liking, and I'll play dumb anime games or...
I put over... I put like 50 plus hours into 2 Human. And if you don't know what that means, that's great. I'm happy for you. If you do, then you know that I am in that same boat.
Feel his pain. Yeah, it is an interesting... ecosystem that we are in right now, especially for internet and games. It's almost like you've got just like, I don't know if it's nerd rage or a weird
a little bit of entitlement.
Maybe some entitlement. Maybe it's just people like, oh, I've played games. I know what good games are. I'm going to keep I'm going to tell you what good games are.
I get to be the gatekeeper.
A video game sommelier.
Yeah, I'm the gatekeeper. Yeah. If I don't say it's good,
gatekeeping. Yeah, that's a good way to like kind of reference it.
Yeah, that's. Like, I hate that idea. Like, no, you can't enjoy this unless I say you can enjoy this.
Right, and it seems to exist in nerd culture a lot.
It
anyway.
is.
And for it to have such a larger voice on the internet and people that are like actually listening to it, I don't know. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that people are unwilling to I don't know.
Be open-minded and let other people have it. It's like, no, you can't like that because I don't like that.
Well, I mean, even if people don't like it, I still like to have a conversation. You know, like
right.
I want to hear what people don't like about stuff. I want to hear what is your taste and why
right.
If you are the one that is gatekeeping, you know, right. Explain to me why.
I think we're getting on to a larger scale, and
we could do an entire show about that.
We said we're not going to get into politics on this. We just want to talk about how great games are.
I was thinking more like philosophy of that.
Well, I'm saying that's kind of that's a general mindset thing that, and while not specifically political, is it ties into like what kind of where we are. I think in general now is there's that has kind of flowed off the internet into reality, that has seeped into things, but. We're going to change the subject on that. So,
we're going to talk about Gamergate now. Awesome.
not what I was, not the direction I was going. Just trying to go the opposite direction. So thanks for that.
Just dig in. Just dig in.
Just get a fork. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's. I mean, they're all interesting topics for sure as well, and the philosophy behind it is what interests me more than the actual like what people are saying about individual things. It's kind of like how people got to these things
right.
is way more interesting. To
what
me.
Is your perspective on like what in your perspective made you think this thing?
Yeah. And I find that fascinating. The way that these things come about is super interesting.
And I know it's interesting. We have those people like, well, I mean, there's no cyborgs. Like, yeah, it's a fantasy game. Yeah, but there's no cyborgs. There's cyborgs.
Wait, what?
Like they're saying, like people, like so there's some people that's a disqualification for them. They're like, they're just like, nope.
Yeah,
but I need cyborgs.
That's not logical or reasonable.
No, it isn't. But you know, but to them it is, and you know they're welcome to have it. I think it's those people are always interesting to talk to get their perspective. But this like I cannot have to like. I mean, it's the same idea. Like I guess if you want to do broad strokes, like people like, oh no, I can't play this character because I ideologically disagree with where this character is. You know,
that's interesting.
I mean,
but I can find that interesting.
Yes, but no one ever actually quantifies it that way. You have to dig in to realize that's what they're saying.
That's what they just don't have the words.
They're like, this hero
they don't have the experience in talking about that kind of stuff or in that way.
Or they just don't, I mean, doesn't necessarily want to admit that because it's one of those things with people that there's a lot of people that will tell you that that they are open-minded. Far fewer people are actually open-minded than tell you that they are open-minded. It's like, no, I accept the things that I find acceptable to be accepted, and once you cross that line, nothing that's unacceptable. Like that's not open-minded, but okay. I'm glad that you're trying anyway. You know,
like you got to start somewhere. I guess
you got to start somewhere. I suppose.
Fake it till you make it.
Hey, that works surprisingly well.
Fake it till you make it.
Yep. And then I guess briefly, kind of at the end here, to talk about. I've also been playing some Elite Dangerous.
Ah, yes, Elite Dangerous,
which is an interesting kind of space game.
And yeah, this is a genre I have never. I don't think ever.
Space Sims? Never?
Never. I've never touched it. It seems like something that would be right up my alley. And I have just never, mostly out of probably unawareness of the genre itself.
If you weren't PCs, like I played TIE Fighter was my jumping on point for Space Sims. And that was before I even owned a computer. A friend had TIE Fighter, and he had the joystick you had to have for it, and we were playing that, and he's like, no, don't worry about all the complicated stuff. You just fly and shoot. I'll do everything else. And we kind of the joke was I kind of had my own R2 unit, because what he was doing is he was doing all the stuff I didn't learn, and it was a way for us to play cooperatively. I was literally just flying the ship and shooting what got in front of me. And I had throttle controls at some point. I figured out when I wanted to cut back and do stuff and turn sharper. And he was keeping track of our mission objectives. It's like, oh, hey, this thing should be popping up. Hey, and he's watching the chat log that shows up what ships show up in system and what's going on. So I get the broad strokes of the story of what's happening in mission, and he's calling out where we need to go. Hey, target this. And he had targeting control as well as I did. So he could just say, no, this is our objective. Go here. And it was an interesting cooperative way to play. It made it into a 2-player flight game.
Which is interesting.
Which is really cool.
like, I mean, obviously that was a long time ago,
Yes.
and Space Sim has come a long way.
Actually, no, it went a little bit way and then died on the vine, and no one made them anymore. And now people are trying to make them.
Which is why I probably never was really aware of them.
Right.
I had heard of TIE Fighter and things like that, and now that I've heard of things like
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, great game. If you want, like, you can get it on GOG for I think like $6.
a lot of people have a lot of nostalgia for that.
Oh, so good.
So what is Elite Dangerous?
Elite Dangerous is, I guess, where that did evolve. It kind of basically it's a game that doesn't really have anything to do, but has everything to do. So you kind of play how you want to. You can kind of forge allegiances or not.
So is it just exploration purely?
No, if you want to.
You're just existing in this space and flying around doing stuff.
So you start off, they give you a ship, a basic ship.
Is there a campaign?
No.
Okay, so it is just...
There's a tutorial, and they say, hey, if this isn't enough for you, here's dozens of videos that'll give you a better idea. There's like 5.
So if there's no campaign,
yes,
I mean...
You're never done. It just keeps going.
Fair. I mean, okay. Yeah, it makes sense. Is if it's just more of a sandbox type experience.
Right. But
that's kind of cool.
So the idea is like there's commerce and things going on. And so you could take on missions where you're transporting goods to systems and pirates might hijack you. Or you can go out and be a pirate.
Pirates.
That's a board game. Pirates. You're in sewers.
Oh, delightful.
Anyway, yeah, so you can be a pirate and hijack people, or you can go explore and just scanning planets, and you can go back to where you're from and sell that data, and the farther out you go, the more it's worth. And it's set in the actual, or the Milky Way galaxy, so it has places like, I'm going to go to Sagittarius A, and I think it's like less than 10% of the actual galaxy has been discovered at this point.
Okay, so this is like a really wide, like huge scale, massive scale.
Massive scale. I think it might be after we finish this. The footage that's playing right now is the raid, and then it goes to an hour of Elite, and just be basically just puttering around and doing nothing.
Don't worry, folks. You'll get some Elite Dangerous B-roll at some point.
Yeah. If not today, then sometime soon. I capped it, so we're gonna have to watch it.
I've seen a little bit of the footage before, and it does look cool.
Here's the thing: it's a great audiobook podcast game because travel distance is like, okay, it's going to take this planet or station I need to go to is on the edge of this system. So I'm going to warp in at the star, and it's going to take me 15 minutes of flying to get there at max speed. And so it's very much and
all of that's like affected by like what mods you have on your ship, like your speeds,
not at that point,
your fuel. I'm just saying, like as a game itself.
So you can buy your own ships that have better fuel ratings, have better jump ratings, so you can jump between stars is where that comes in. And then when you're actually, so there's hyperspace, which is jumping between stars. There's super cruise, which is your kind of your travel between planets and things. And then there's your regular flight model where your speed stats that's where they're affected. Super Cruise just kind of is.
And you've got space combat as well.
It is space combat. You have to if you have somebody targeted and your hard points, basically your guns are out, your hard points are open, they're going to pop theirs going like, okay, what's this guy doing? And so that's always a good idea if you know somebody's going to be threatening towards you is when they deploy their hard points. So you're like, okay, things are about to dust off here. And
you're getting warnings about this kind of stuff, like Star Trek style.
Kind of, not really. It depends on what you're. This game has got so much stuff. Like in VR,
seems pretty deep.
In VR, it actually has voice support.
Interesting.
So you're talking to a computer that will then respond when you say things.
Oh, that's pretty awesome.
Like,
actually,
open galaxy map, and then it says, then the computer says something in opening in stellar cartography, and then it boots up.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Game looks great. It looks amazing. And the scale of ships is really cool. And it's a game that I don't play because I want to I don't play. You don't play it for loot. You just play it because you feel like flying around in space. And as you get these bigger, better ships, you feel amazing. You're like, these are great ships, and you kind of get at home. Oh, speaking.
Here we go. Elite Dangerous.
See, yeah, this is like That was like a mid-tier ship you saw. Not even mid-tier. It's an Explorer class ship made to be kitted to explore, but you don't have to. You can kit it for cargo or kit it for wherever you want because it has internals and optional internals. So you could actually turn a battle cruiser into a cruise liner, and take people on tours,
which seems super rad.
That's a thing you could do.
And having seen some of this gameplay before, I really want to do a mining ship,
which is a totally thing you can do.
Which is super cool. Ever since I saw my brothers playing like Mass Effect 2 and going through and like scanning the planets and stuff, I was like, that's kind of fun. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. But then I like the idea of this where I could build a mining ship and go and just like mess with the economic stuff. It seems super relaxing too. Obviously, look at this. Like you're just flying through space. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and
you can look around.
And you could build for that. But the fun thing is there's usually trade-offs. So mining lasers have to go in place on your hard points.
Right.
So you're giving up actual offensive power. You can shoot with those.
I guess I have an admission to make. I don't like space combat. I think it's boring.
Well, I got good news for you. Then the way I play Elite is you get gimbal mounted weapons. So gimbal mounted or turret weapons They track and do it for you,
and that's fine. That's better.
Yeah,
that's better. I don't really enjoy flying around in 3D space that much.
Oh,
I haven't liked it in most games. I don't think it feels very good.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is there anything that I did like as far as that goes? I mean, the old Rogue Squadron games on the N64.
For anybody who actually played these kind of space sims,
I'm not really a sim guy. I guess is what it is.
As someone who played X-Wing, like I played those games, and I'm like, no, there's something wrong here. It doesn't feel simmy enough.
Yeah, and the sim part,
it's not simian.
No Sims. Sim games, I guess. That's probably my line, I guess. I have not done sim, like regardless, like Sim City, Space Sim, any of that stuff. I just don't really do. Most of the builder sims as well, kind of avoided.
I have the city build sims. I have a love with, but I always fall off before I beat them. It's the weirdest thing. It's Cities XL. I think was the only one I really felt like I'm like, no, I've completed this. I've got to the end game.
Could I play this without having to? Could I play Elite Dangerous without having to do any combat? Is that a thing?
I mean, I
just want to be a merchant vessel.
To a certain degree, yes, you can avoid combat. But if you're hauling cargo of any type, there's a chance someone will try to interdict you. And if you're doing the merchant missions, there's a higher chance. Now, I have not run into anything that I couldn't evade. It's way later in this video, so we're not going to get to it today. We'll maybe play this next time. But you can see when you get interdicted from from Super Cruise. So there's hey, here's your escape vector. Follow this, and they can't stop you. That's a thing. I've never been unable to before, but on this one, I was like, oh no, the guy chasing me is actually the guy I'm looking for. So I just turn sideways and miss the escape vector and drop out of hyperspace. He rolls up to shoot me. I shoot him. I win and I leave.
Yeah,
I get my objectives. But
that's. I mean,
here's the thing: I
would expect some of that. Obviously,
this is a game you can completely and almost for all intents and purposes completely.
I would want
to
play this in a very weird way. I think.
But no. Here's the thing: I saw they have what are called community goals.
That's cool.
And oftentimes there's one that it's like, hey, go to the system and kill pilots.
Now you're saying this does have co-op as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. There's two types of co-op. There's we can fly in a wing together, and there's ships that are big enough that you can have co-pilots.
That's cool.
So you can have someone as a gunner. You see. Well, here's the thing. Here's the fun thing. Here's how you could play this co-op the way you like and never engage with combat.
You're my fighter pilot. Is the guns?
Yes and no. So you can have a gunner, and you could also buy bays that fit in your ship that launch man-portable fighter planes.
That's pretty cool.
And so you can have an actual fighter pilot.
That's pretty cool.
I think you can actually hire AI. I don't like having AI companions in games like this. It's like, no, this is me in the dead of space. I don't want anyone. Skyrim. They're like, hey, here's a companion. I'm like, that's good.
Go away.
Go away. This is me.
No thanks.
I am the Dragonborn. And you are just going to sit at home. But yeah, so you can have a crew of 4, have a gunner and 2 pilots while you're flying, and all you have to do is not get shot by lasers.
That's cool.
I mean, here's the real problem though is, so that's all there, and there's a ton of interesting content to do, but there's no you need to go here and do X. There's nothing driving what's going on, and they're talking like they have aliens that have come back to this system. This is like humanity.
So you said there's no campaign.
There's no
but
campaign.
Are there narrative things happening?
Yes and no.
On a I don't know. It's any kind of a scale.
I will say this: I have read stuff about what's kind of theoretically happening, and it's kind of around in the periphery. And you can go to stations, and it'll give you news updates. But there's no indication on how you engage with it, if it involves you, if it's just fluff. So like, there's nothing. It's the story's happening. It's almost like you're reading about a story while you're playing a video game. They seem that disconnected from each other.
Interesting. Okay.
And they're not really well tied together. And they talk about, oh, hey, we have this new patch and this is happening. I have no idea how to interact with what's going on in that new patch. And I don't care because the base of everything I have is there.
You're good.
You can even buy instead of fighter crafts, you can buy landers.
I like,
so you can land and drive
that
around.
All of this exists, and you don't have to engage with.
It's
everything.
just there.
It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I have a buddy who is all he does is he goes exploring. And he'll spend hours and hours. So, like we were talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to do this explore. I'm gonna do this loop of however many thousand light years. Like, yeah, how long did that take you? About a week.
That's crazy.
So he logs in, plays for a couple hours, if that, and then logs out. And he does this loop journey, goes explores
Just
planets, and then comes back.
That's cool.
But that's what he wants. In fact, he started doing a little bit of the role play, a little bit of the RPing, where he's like, I'm going to log off instead of just saving and exit. He finds a planet, lands his craft like he's camping on it, then logs out.
That's awesome.
And it's like, and that it lets you have that is great, and I love it. So, but for me, I am too much of the reward driven brain stuff. So I'm just like, I have to be kind of in a chill mood where I'm just like, no, I'm going to fly through space for a little bit. I'm going to try and get to the bigger ships because I want to get to a capital cruiser and just
so
roll
there's you have a progression goal of sorts.
I'm kind of in mind. Like there's a couple ships I have my eye on, and you can own multiple ships. That's the thing is
that's good too.
You can leave them all over. You have to go to where your ship is to pick it up. There's no like this is my garage. All my ships are with me all the time. Or you can pay somebody to fly to where you're at, and it'll be like, yeah, it'll take an hour of actual time.
Interesting.
So it's got that grognardy space sim kind of like real neckbeardy action of like or non-action I would say. Like no, it's got the role playing systems in there and all of that. Or
seems cool.
It's also just a lot of fun to play. Really I dig it and I love that it exists. But given the choice, I'd rather have Rebel Galaxy on this scale, which was a game that I think we should get to sooner rather than later.
I did like the look of that one.
And that one you can merchant real good, but also the combat is completely different. It's like the naval shooting side,
it's
the
like
broadside
pirate ships in space.
Yeah, pirate ships in space kind of combat, and it's relatively short. So not to tease, but maybe
we'll have to have that come up.
Well, here's the problem: is I've beaten it.
I mean, I have no problem playing that game. That seems pretty cool.
So maybe I'll convince you to do that after Space Marine.
Yeah, maybe we can do that.
Yeah, something like that.
That's different enough genre wise. Might as well.
Yeah. So do we have anything else? Any notes we really need to cover?
No, I think we've kind of exhausted a lot of what we're currently playing,
and we kind of hit our time window that we're looking to do. We're not like hard and fast on it needs to
hard
be this
in,
long.
hard out. No,
but we have a range of listenability.
Flexible, shooting for more of the hour range at this point.
I feel like people can only listen to my voice for so long.
Yeah, I mean, if we have enough, we can always push it longer, so it's not too big of a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So that being said, thank you for joining us, everyone. We appreciate it. Keep the feedback coming. Comment if you like. We appreciate that coming in the comments. So
seeing comments is always great. If you guys have any you have experience with games or what we're playing, anything you want to throw out there,
all right,
let us know. Let us know.
In the podcast, I say go ahead and comment on what you'd like to see. Say no space games or say yes space games or I played this game when I was a kid. Would like to see that. Whatever. We like getting the feedback. So. With that said, thanks for joining us and join us. I mean, more content coming this week, but join us again for a week for more Backcast.
Yeah. Thanks all.
Yeah.
Catch you guys later.